Hey guys, welcome back. So we finished our first week of our no-buy month this last week, and it was really great. We ended up using 4 out of the 5 meals that I made. If you're interested to see how I meal planned for that or what our meal plan looked like for last week, I'll put a link in the description box below so that you can check that video out. But yeah, so we ended up using 4 out of the 5 meals, and then I made sure to make enough on those meals that we had enough for leftovers, at least for a few people in our family for another night. And so we ended up being able to make those 4 meals really stretch for the rest of the week. So that was really nice. But I wanted to show you guys what we did end up making, what those meals look like for our family, and I would say all of them ended up being a hit. For our first night, I decided that I wanted to make some hot rolls to go with our meal. So I just made a basic white bread recipe. I do have this recipe on my channel. I will link it down below, but this is after its first rise, and I am just splitting it into 9 equal pieces. So I'll split it into 3, and then those into 3, and then use those to form them into hot rolls. So I'm just like stuffing them in between my index finger and my thumb, and then I'll put them on the counter and roll them around and form that around, and then you just do that 9 times. And you cover them, let them rise again, cook them at 350, and then you have some delicious hot rolls. So the next part of dinner, I needed to get my chicken going. So I'm making a compound butter. So I just had butter and added some garlic salt and some pepper to it and mixed it together, and then I am going to use this to cook the chicken. So you can see here that I am sticking my fingers between the meat and the skin. I'm just separating that skin out on both sides. Make sure you do it on both sides. And then I'm going to take that compound butter that is very room temperature. You wouldn't want to do this with cold butter or with melted butter because it would just be a big mess, but you just want to take that and stick that underneath the skin, between the skin and the meat of the chicken. You can see I'm using one hand to stick it down in and the other hand to kind of smush it all around and just make sure that I'm getting a decent coverage. When that chicken cooks, that butter is going to melt and kind of ooze down into the meat and be really delicious. And then whatever butter I have left, I'm just dotting the top of the meat with it. And then the potatoes, I just diced them, peeled them, cooked them, and now I'm adding some heavy whipping cream, butter, and salt and pepper, and then I'm going to whip them with a hand mixer. I just prefer that texture over like a potato masher. And this was dinner. So we had some peas that I cooked from the freezer and chicken, whatever chicken we don't have left, whatever chicken we have left at the end, it will be leftovers. And then I also will use the bones to make broth. So night number 2, my bread for the night, I guess, was focaccia. So it's the same basic white bread recipe. It was a little bit more wet. I had a little bit more water in the dough, but I did that on purpose. I just like that texture for focaccia. I rolled that around in some olive oil. I covered it, and then I let it sit to rise for a second time. And then once it's risen, I'm going to take some olive oil, just drizzle it on top, and then you get to play in it. This is like the best part of making this bread. You want to rub that a little bit around and then take your fingers and just dot all over. It is so fun to do this on focaccia bread. It really makes that olive oil kind of get down in those crevices, and when it cooks, it's going to be kind of crunchy and delicious. And then this topping is just a leftover herb mixture that I had from a Italian restaurant that we went to. It's just another really great way to use up some things that you have. So this is the salad that we had left over from our church lunch, and this is what our focaccia bread looked like. And then our main thing was I made some creamy chicken pasta with tortellini that we had. And if you are interested in this recipe, I will have this up on my channel very soon. So the next night, I decided to make, this is our favorite bread product that I make. This is the same basic white bread recipe. I just rolled it out like I'm going to make cinnamon rolls. And this is the same thing that I would do for cinnamon rolls. Just take a room temperature butter and spread it all around. But instead of cinnamon and sugar, I am going to add some cheese and garlic powder. So this is just mozzarella. I've used cheddar in this. I've used a nice Italian blend with some Asiago and Parmesan. That's really great too. Once you have all of your cheese, you're just going to roll it up. Again, just like you would roll it up for cinnamon rolls. It's really important to make sure that you have like a lightly floured surface here, or this part is a nightmare, and I am speaking from definite experience. And then you want to split it into 12. So I split it in half, and then each of those in half, and then each of those in 3. That's just the easiest way to get a really good even cut for all of them. And then take them, put them in your baking dish, let them cover them and let them sit to rise in a warm place for your second rise, and bake them at 350. And you are going to have some of just the best bread that you could ever have. I cannot tell you how much my family loves this one. So this is what it looks like after the second rise. It has kind of plumped up a little bit, and then they will actually get bigger even more than that after they cook. So this one I just served with some basic spaghetti and meat sauce. This is the tricolored pasta from Trader Joe's. I really like it. I don't know if it actually adds any more nutrition, but it's really good, and our family ate that up. Along with these, we had none of these left over at the end of the night, which we never do. I like to make these sometimes for lunch too, but I will just serve them with some marinara sauce that we can dip them in. And it's kind of like a pizza roll-up situation, and it's really good. I've also been really loving having like a special drink for dinner. So this is a sparkling berry lemonade that we had. And yeah, this one was a definite hit. Probably my family's favorite meal of the whole week. Last meal of the week that I cooked, the last dinner, was some homemade mac and cheese and a Mississippi roast. I think that's what it's called. But this is, we like to call this Miss Megan's mac and cheese. A friend of ours from church taught me how to make this. And it's just cooked elbow macaroni. And I'm going to put half of it in the pan. And then I'm just going to lightly drizzle some milk over the top, and then to that I'm just going to add a layer of cheese. So this is the 3 cheese blend that I made from the cheddar cheeses that I picked up from Aldi this week. I like to make sure that I have an even layer, but not too much. You don't want like the same amount of cheese as macaroni. It can get overly cheesy, surprisingly. Once you have that layer of cheese done, then you're just going to do it all over again. So you just do another layer of macaroni on top of that. And then you're going to drizzle a little bit more milk on top, and then another layer of cheese. And then once you have that done, you are going to stick it in the oven uncovered and bake it at 400 until it starts to kind of bubble, and you can kind of see some brown bits on the sides, and it is so good. I cooked the roast in the crock pot and cooked it all day, so it was tender and juicy and delicious, and it went so great with this mac and cheese. This is what the mac and cheese looks like. I do like to mix it all together before I serve it, but yeah, it is delicious. All right, so that's it, guys. That's what we had this week for dinners. I would say all of them ended up being hits, and if I could give one really good tip, it would be to find a good bread recipe and get good at making it, which is not hard to do at all, but just give it some practice and learn how to bake bread. It has been able to really fill in some gaps for us a lot. It's really inexpensive to make. And as you saw in that video, I was able to take that one bread recipe and use it for tons of different things throughout the week for dinner. So anyway, that's what we had. I hope you guys liked it. Stay tuned, and I will let you guys know what our meal plan and our grocery shop ends up looking like for week 2.